This is Planet 76, your source for all things Philadelphia 76ers. We've got another great episode coming your way today, and we're cleared for takeoff. Let's go.
Welcome, everybody, to Planet 76, episode 84.
Seven.
7? What?
We're flying.
Anyway, welcome, everyone, to the episode. We have quite a few games to cover. Troy, my name is Michael. Welcome. Make sure you guys subscribe on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify. Follow us on Instagram. Check us out. We're rolling. Troy, I think you just said that, or was that all fair?
We're rolling.
Either way. Heat, Mavericks, Bucks, Pacers. Some games a little more notable than others, bless you, in that regard. But it works out.
Yeah. So 5 games to chat about. Big one, certainly like you noted. We're going to talk about the Milwaukee Bucks. Sixers traveled to Milwaukee and took them down 133-130, ending the 16-game streak for the Milwaukee Bucks. So appropriate to say the Bucks stops here. I will say I posted that on Planet 76 podcast with that title, and then I saw it everywhere else after I said that.
Trend-setting. Clip this and post it. Troy is trend-setting. Planet 76. If you're not here already, you're missing out.
That's right. I saw it on Sports Center later. I was like, oh, no.
Dude, they're watching. Somebody follows us on there.
That's exactly right. So, we'll talk about that a lot. Sixers did play the Pacers tonight. We're recording on a Monday. Worked out that way. Sixers played on Monday night, so easy to talk about that one. Sixers did drop one in Dallas. That was a crazy game. Crazy game. And then, like you said, they lost one against Miami at home, but then bounced back against Miami on the road by 23 without Joel Embiid. We'll take a look at the Eastern Conference standings a little bit, but I think we got to start. We got to start with Milwaukee in the game that was. So Sixers come from behind win in Milwaukee. They lost 2 starters early in that one with PJ and Tobias Harris. Tyrese Maxey inserted back into the starting lineup in that one. And just a come from behind victory that felt really, really good, especially to do it on the road. What are your general thoughts there on what the Sixers were able to do, a few nights ago in Milwaukee?
Well, that was an interesting game, you can say. I think the Sixers look like they lost that game up until the whatever minute mark it was in the fourth quarter when they came back. But everybody was hitting threes. Grayson Allen, Brook Lopez had that one roll-in 3. It was just not looking good at all. And then that's when the Sixers came alive, more specifically James Harden, because he had 18 points in the fourth quarter. A lot of it in isolation, cooking Middleton, Allen, and Portis in isolation. That's what you love to see from James Harden. Getting to the rim, getting N1s, just amazing stuff. Joel Embiid came alive a bit too in the fourth, especially defensively against Giannis. Had some really nice defensive possessions against Giannis. So in reality, the game itself was very up and down, really. But the win was fantastic, especially the way the Sixers won this game because of the way they came back from, down double digits, 15 probably, something like that.
Yeah. So
really, really great win that kind of looked like a loss for the majority of it.
Yes. It certainly did. So Sixers won the fourth quarter 48-31.
Wow.
They put up 48 points in the fourth
18
quarter.
That was Harden, yeah.
Right, imagine going into the fourth quarter down double digits, and I tell you that the Sixers are going to give up 31 in the fourth quarter. You're like, There's no shot. They're winning, and they put up 48. So an offensive masterclass from the Sixers in the fourth to get that done. I saw a stat. This surprised me a lot. I hope it was correct. It was on SportsCenter. James Harden and Joel Embiid, first pair of teammates since 1979 to each have 30 points, 10 assists. Do you see that too?
I did see that too, yep.
That sounds nuts. That sounds too good to be true.
I was wondering who the other two teammates were. I'd have to imagine it's Wilt and somebody else.
Yeah, right. So again, Tyrese back in the starting lineup. Some notables there. So 38 and 10 and 9 rebounds for James Harden. Embiid 31 and 10. Maxey 26 points on 8 of 12 from the floor. So a very efficient game. Very efficient game for him to be inserted back in the starting lineup. And so maybe we, put some of those questions to bed about him being in the starting lineup or not. Who knows? He was in the starting lineup again tonight. And then Giannis at 34. Brook Lopez seems to have a career night every time we play them, right? Him and Al Horford both just
somehow.
I hate playing them. Career nights every night. He had 26. Drew Holiday had 26. Grace Allen had 20 points in the third quarter alone. A wild game that, again, like you said, it just looked bad for 3/4 of it. Certainly the third quarter was bad. And you started thinking, well, chalk this up as a loss, but the Sixers were able to come back. I saw someone tweet, and I just want your take on this. So the comeback in the fourth, they said, was largely due to, and you said it, Harden and the Sixers hunting mismatches. Yep. Philly was able to exploit the Bucks' perimeter issues, and I'm quoting this. It said some rotation players, that they were exploiting are just defenders that struggle to play defense in space.
Yeah. And
so the Sixers spread it out and found the mismatch. So, was that it for you, kind of, if you were to summarize it into one thing that happened in the fourth quarter to lead to that? Was that it?
Oh, yeah, because when guys when James Harden is isolating on guys like Chris Middleton, now he's a good defender, but laterally it's hard to keep up with a guy like Harden who, the burst isn't all there, but still he can get, if he gets a first step on you, he's probably going to get past you. Middleton laterally is a bit challenged, so it's not as easy to keep up with Harden. And you have a guy like Allen who, he's a good defender as well, but you're not really going to keep up with Harden. He's bigger, he's stronger than Grayson Allen, and Harden knows that. He exploited that multiple times. I think he even backed down Grayson Allen in the post once or twice.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, James Harden in the fourth. This Sixers team in the fourth quarter this season has been way better than Sixers teams of the past. They've had most of their best basketball in the fourth quarter this season, and this game is just one example of that. I can think of multiple games. I'm thinking of the Knicks game on Christmas. That fourth quarter was fantastic. So James Harden in the fourth quarter in this game, the Sixers in the fourth quarter. In this season, during this season, they've played their best basketball in the fourth, and they've been down. They've had games where they've been down 15, and they come back and win, this game included. So, really happy with the Sixers' fourth quarter performances this year for the most part, and James Harden, obviously.
Right. You want to talk about everything stacked against them in this game. Again, 2 starters, who got hurt during the game. You're on the road against a team who's won 16 games in a row, and you're down big going to the fourth, and they somehow win the game. Just incredible. So, Sixers had 18 threes. The Bucks had 17 threes in this one. Another incredible stat from this game. But all of our listeners, Michael, are dying to know, because this is, we had to start with the Bucks because this is a big deal, because they're a conference, team ahead of us in the standings and all that fun stuff. But I think everybody's dying to know, and I'm dying to hear your response too. What does this game tell us, big picture wise? We get what, it shows and exploits some different matchups and things, but, big picture, grand scheme of things, if these two are to see each other down the road in the playoffs, what does this tell us? And I would guess, what you're going to say would be positive. In a positive light, what would this tell us?
Well, I think it tells us that the Sixers, now it's not going to be perfect, but I think they can match up with the Bucks a little bit better than the Celtics, because they have one of the only guys in the league who can make life difficult for Giannis in the paint, and Joel Embiid. Now, you could come around and say, oh, well, Brook Lopez made life difficult for Joel Embiid. Okay, sure. But I think the matchups when it comes to defense is a little bit better than the Celtics, because they have a ton of rangy wing defenders who they can throw at guys like Embiid, guys like Harden. The Bucks don't quite have that, so I think the Sixers have a small advantage there. And then also, I think the Sixers, at their best, like the best version of the Bucks offense and the best version of the Sixers offense, I would give the edge to the Sixers offense. We've seen their offense look like some of the best offense in the entire league. And we've seen that during multiple games. I'm not saying this game was an example of that, but like I think what we saw in the fourth quarter kind of gave a glimpse of that of the Sixers offense that we have seen before, and I think that's a good sign because this could be a second round. This could be a second round matchup.
It sure could.
Yeah.
We've been talking about that a lot, haven't we?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I think it tells me one huge thing is, again, the numbers that our guys, our cornerstone pieces provided in this one to get the win. It just kind of shows you how much you're going to have some big games from them if you do match up with the Bucks in the playoffs. I think it says a lot about Tyrese Maxey and how important he is. Again, he played 41 minutes. He led the team. He had, when he was coming off the bench, he would get into the 30s, but he also had some games where he only played 25, 26 minutes. Mm-hmm. I think you need Tyrese Maxey to play a lot because he had 26 on 8 of 12 shooting, got to the free throw line 8 times, made a couple threes, like a very efficient game for him, and it's just going to be important. I get that we were 2 starters down, and there were some couple guys off the bench who stepped up in McDaniels and Niang, but like if you're, Niang was huge. He made 5 of 6 from 3.
That was a big game, for Niang.
Right, but if you're gonna do anything against this Bucks team in the playoffs, Maxey, Harden, and Embiid have to be really, really good. Now, the hope is they don't both, Harden and Embiid have to go for 30 and 10 assists every night against them in a series, but they got to be good, and they got to be, hopefully this is a realization that, okay, this is kind of what it's going to take to beat a team like Milwaukee. Yeah, anything else there? So we put an end to the Bucks win streak, and we'll see them again in the regular season one more time, but anything else there on the Bucks?
No, I think I'm just overall, like I said, happy with the performance of this team in the end. I'm glad they didn't just roll over and die as Sixers teams of the past tend to have done. I don't know if I phrased that properly, but you get what I'm saying, right?
I do. It's certainly, or the opposite, where we're the ones going to fourth quarter lead. That happens. It's the NBA. But it is nice to be on that end of it this time around against a team like that. So again, we mentioned Sixers did play Miami twice, the second of which Embiid didn't play, and you're like, oh boy, and it's on the road. But Paul Reed stepped up for 14 and 14?
Career high 14 rebounds.
Yeah, I mean, how big was he in that? So real quickly, I mean, we won that game by a lot, but what does that tell you about, Embiid was out, Paul Reed did that. What does that tell you?
It tells me that the Sixers are one of the most confusing teams in the league. That's what it tells me. Because that game was a total opposite from the night, not the night before, but Monday. They played Monday and Wednesday, and Embiid was on Wednesday. That Wednesday game was the total opposite of that Monday game. And I oddly enjoy sometimes seeing the Sixers without Joel Embiid. I'm not saying anything other than I just think it's cool. That's all. Because they win games. I said on my Instagram story, I said, don't be surprised if the Sixers win this game. And they did. Yeah. There was just something I was like, they're gonna win this game. They're gonna win this game. And it was a fantastic game. I think they up by 20 multiple times.
Yeah. Yeah, they won by 23.
Crazy. Paul Reed just was balling. 14 points, 14 rebounds. He only had 2 fouls. He really didn't foul, which has been a big complaint of the Paul Reed haters. So
sure. Yeah, and hopefully, as confusing as it is, hopefully that answers some questions for Glenn and the staff. And to your point, when Embiid's out, obviously someone's got to step up if they want any chance to do anything. And multiple guys need to, up their game. They're going to get more shots, going to get more looks, and get more minutes. And so for Paul Reed to do what he did is massive. And for a guy like Paul, who's been in and out of the lineup, in and out of the rotation, in and out of like who's going to be the backup center, that's huge for him and his confidence to do that. Against a team like Miami.
And we've talked about it before.
That's a big deal.
Like these guys have the talent, but they don't have the opportunity. Right. So when talent meets opportunity, that's what you get when you see Paul Reed on the floor.
Yep. All right, and then so the Sixers did play the Mavericks in Dallas after that one. Other than what you're going to have here, I just have one number. So Dallas went 25 for 48 from three.
Oh my God, that's
That
like
is
60%.
not a typo. I had to read that 17 times. 25 for 48. 25 for 48 from three. Luka and Kyrie both went off. I mean, is there anything else to say there?
No, I mean, there's two sides to it. One, you're not going to beat a team who's shooting 60% from three. And two, the other side of it is no team shoots 60% from three consistently. So, not that you want to just dismiss the loss, but I'm pretty sure we can all agree of this loss being a complete outlier because you don't account for teams shooting 60% from three.
Right. You give up 25 made threes a night, you're not going to
lose.
win many games. And the fact that the Sixers only lost this by 7, Sixers put up 126 points in this one. And I was saying before we started, like, I got so mad, I guess, mid-third quarter.
Turned off the
Sixers
game.
were down 19. I turned it off. 5 minutes later, I check back in. They're down 4. I turn it back on. And then the Mavs go on another run. So I said earlier, I told Mike, I was like, my plus-minus as a fan watching this one was like a minus 40. So you can blame me for that one. When I was watching, I should have just not watched. But an interesting game, an outlier game. I like that word choice because
Total anomaly.
hopefully we don't see that again. Yeah, hopefully we don't see 25 threes made against us again because that's a lot. I had to look up what the record was. I think it's 29. The Bucks did 1 year, and Giannis didn't make any. It's just like that just shows the supporting cast around him. But anyway, all right. So the game tonight against the Indiana Pacers, a very, very tightly contested game. So even just to look at the box score, the first quarter was a 1-point game in the Pacers' favor. The second quarter they tied 40-40. The third quarter was a 1-point game, and the fourth quarter the Sixers won by 4, and they won the game by 4. So it was neck and neck the whole way. I don't know what the biggest lead in this one was, but it was tied going in the fourth, and the Sixers won by 4 in the fourth. And believe it or not, no overtime in this one, but the score was 147-143. And there were some guys stepping up. One by the name of Jalen McDaniels.
Yes,
dropped 20 tonight. 8 boards. Had a steal, played 30 minutes, got the start, 8 for 13 from the floor. Just some other numbers. Embiid had 19 for 19 from the free throw line. He had 42, 11 of 16 shooting. You'll take that every single day of the week. 42 points on 16 shots. Tyrese Maxey in the starting lineup again, efficient, 6 for 9 from 3, 24 points. James Harden, he only had 14 points. He had a poor shooting night. But wait, he had 20 assists and 9 rebounds. It's like once a week we're talking about, 17 assists, 18 assists, 20 assists. How incredible is that? Some guys off the bench contributed. Shake had 15. Daniel House had 10. Niang hit a 3. Like, it was all hands on deck to get the win in Indiana against the 29-37 Pacers, but we'll take it, right? What jumps out there of those numbers that I just shared?
Well, this might be asking for a lot, but 147, you're only getting 14 from Harden. You're getting 9 from Melton. No Harris, who's going to give you 16, 18 a game. And you can't always ask for 20 from McDaniels. But this kind of scoring, like, this is what you... Even though there's no... Let's be honest. There was no defense being played in this game. Because you don't put up 147 with defense played on you.
Right.
But it's just like, this is the kind of offense the Sixers can be, and it's there. As inconsistent as the Sixers have been, like, it's there for them. The East is open. There is an opening, and if they can just finally get their offense clicking, and then fix the defense a little bit, they're just like, it's... I don't even know. I don't want to like say anything and jinx anything or whatever, but there's a lot. There's a lot of potential for this offense, in my opinion.
Right. Well, and with guys missing games here and there,
Yeah.
Embiid sat one, and Tobias missing, and again, the Sixers have a lot of games to play compared to some other teams in the NBA. So there's gonna be back-to-backs in there, and there's gonna be guys missing. It's good to see guys like Jalen McDaniels step up. It's good to see Niang hit 5 of 6 from 3 the other night. Again, just for their own confidence and to know that it's gonna take these guys in the playoffs. Because one thing it seems like there's a trend. And you can correct me if you don't see this, but it seems like there's a trend when the Sixers lose games. You look at the box score, you look at the bench, and outside of Tyrese Maxey, who was playing on the bench, there's like 7 shot attempts or 10 shot attempts from guys on the bench. And those are the games the Sixers lose. This game where the Sixers win, it took all hands on deck, and there's 20 shot attempts off the bench, and Maxey started. And there's guys getting action. There's a guy going for double digits. There's guys, getting up shots. The games where they seem to have trouble, it's maybe they're relying on Embiid and Harden, who are going to get you some wins. But if Embiid has a poor shooting night field goal percentage wise, and Harden does the same, and the leading shot taker on the bench has 4 shot attempts, you're not going to win. You're relying too much heavily on your main core pieces. Which I just said a moment ago, you need to rely on in a series against the Bucks, but you need some help. So, that's kind of what I would say that we can take away from this Pacers game is guys stepping up, and we need that. No, can you expect McDaniels to have 20 a night? No, but when he gets in, hopefully there's some production. Hopefully he's getting some shots up. So that's my thought there. You touched on it a little bit with the East being wide open. So the Boston Celtics are having a tough go of things the last couple nights. Lost in double overtime against the Knicks, the red hot Knicks, who've won 9 in a row. Then they lost in overtime again tonight to Cleveland.
In overtime
to Cleveland.
Mitchell had 40.
Yeah, in overtime again, yeah. So Boston sits at 45-21. They've been overtaken by the Bucks. Sixers are 42-22. So what that means is they're only a game back in the loss column to the Celtics. Who would have thought? That's life in the NBA. It's quick, and you lose 3 in a row, and it's just boom. But the Bucks, 46-18 there. So again, the top 3 are pretty much solidified, unless the Knicks just don't lose again. Because they only have 27 losses, and the Cavs have 26. But Eastern Conference, your thoughts on where the Sixers are at as it sits today? This is going to be a weekly conversation until we have the regular season end, but they're 1 back in the loss column of the Celtics and 4 back of the Bucks, who they just beat, and they're going to see again later down the line. So your thoughts on where they are today, March 6th?
I'm just gonna. It might be a recurring message from me on this topic, but the Sixers need to keep winning. They need to keep winning as many games as possible because they need the first seed in the Eastern Conference. 4 games is a pretty large gap, yes. But they were only 2 a few weeks ago.
But it was 4 with the Celtics a week ago.
Just if the Celtics can maybe lose 1 more, the Sixers win a couple more, they're right there. It's there. There's only 18 games left. They do have the hardest schedule, but they've been winning pretty decently in the past week and a half. So it's just gotta happen.
It would be huge. We're going to talk about it until it can't happen or does happen because of where the East is and because of, we said, I think the question I asked you last week was, what's the percentage chance that the Bucks, Celtics, or Sixers go to the finals? One of those 3 teams goes to the finals out of the East. I mean, it's like 95%, right? The Knicks aren't going. Sorry. The Nets aren't going. The Cavs aren't going. Whoever you want to say, it's one of these 3 teams. And so it's huge as to how this is going to shake out. And again, the next best thing to the 1 seed is the 2 seed. Now, if the Sixers hop the Celtics for the 2 seed, yes, they have to play the Celtics in the second round, but they have home court in that, which is a big deal. I hate going to Boston. I certainly don't want to do it 4 times in a series, So, yeah, that's a big deal, and that's something we're going to continue to monitor as fans and listeners of Planet 76 continue to monitor that because that's a big thing, and we're going to keep harping on that. Why don't we do something we haven't done in a while to finish up? So we talked about 5 games, a lot of content, a lot of action, a lot of games, a lot of numbers, but why don't we each give a player of the week and a shout-out of the week? So a shout-out can be a player, it can be a stat, it can be a quarter, it can be a coach, it can be whatever. But why don't you give a player of the week and a shout out, and then I'll do the same.
My player of the week is Paul Reed. Yes.
I knew it. I knew it.
My player of the week is easily Paul Reed. No one even comes close. Fantastic week from B-Ball Paul. I think he's really solidified his role on this team now. I've been saying that since November, but I think he's truly solidified his role this week. It was huge for Paul Reed and Paul Reed stock. If you have some, if you haven't yet, it's running out, so you better grab some soon. And my shout out of the week, I have a few, but I'll just go with Tyrese Maxey because he also he got back in the starting lineup. He played super well, especially in the Bucks game. He hit some big threes. I think Tyrese deserves a shout out, so he's my shout out of the week. Let's hear
there you go.
Oh,
you
no.
Stole mine.
See, I was trying not to steal yours because I thought you might have said someone else that I'm not going to say because I don't want to spoil it. But I was hoping that you weren't going to pick Maxey because I was thinking you weren't going to pick Maxey.
Yes, you overcomplicated it. So I'll switch it up then. I'll go player of the week. I'll give a shout out, or I'll give my player of the week to Maxey, and I'll give my shout out elsewhere. Player of the week, Maxey, and I'll just put some numbers to it and what you just said. It's part of it's a shout out because of he's just all right. If I come off the bench, I'm going to do my thing. If I'm in the starting lineup, I'm going to do my thing. But the numbers he's been putting up this week and the efficiency is the key. So, and we didn't see this, a couple weeks ago. We weren't saying this about Maxey. We weren't saying he was putting up 8 points a game, but 23, 27, 29, 26, 24. I can get used to that every day of the week for Tyrese Maxey. And the efficiency there was 50, 59, 57, 66, and 62% from the floor. You're going to take that every week. An aggressive Maxey who's efficient as well is huge. So that's my player of the week. I think he's been big for the team. My shout out of the week, and I said it earlier that I think it can be a quarter. I'm going to go with the Sixers quarter against the Bucks in the fourth, and what they were able to do, 48-31, just to see, some of the truth of that quote I mentioned earlier, them exploiting the Bucks' defensive issues and some of their wing defenders, and hopefully that can be something the Sixers can exploit if they do see the Bucks down the road in the playoffs. I just think that quarter was huge. I think it sparked the team. Who's not going to be happy ending a 16-game win streak on the road, down big, entering the fourth? And so maybe it can spark some more victories in the future. Again, one of those was tonight against Indiana, but maybe that's a turning point where you're like, hey, maybe this is where the Sixers turned it around as far as the conference standings. Not like they're having a bad year, but maybe it's the point where, hey, we're going to attribute that to why the Sixers made a pursuit for the number 1 overall seed in the East. Real quickly, upcoming, so Sixers are at it again tomorrow in Minnesota, Tuesday at Minnesota, and then back home for Portland and Washington. So some winnable games certainly upcoming for the Sixers this week, Tuesday, Friday, Sunday, and we'll be back to break that down on Planet 76.
I need 3 straight wins from this team. Please.
That's right. Please. And we'll be sure to be back for Planet 76, episode 88, to break down those 3 games. And hopefully, as Michael says, hopefully it's 3 wins. We'll see you next time. If you are a Philadelphia 76ers fan, this is the podcast for you. Planet 76, a weekly podcast covering all things Philadelphia 76ers. We'll see you next time.